Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 10 of our 15 days free training program on Python for AI. Before we move on to today's topic, let's quickly recap what we learned till now. So, till now, we've learned about what is Python and its history and the versions of Python. So, there are three versions, and the third version is currently being used actively and it is being developed. And then we've learned about the features of Python. So features tell us why Python is widely adopted and also why it is easy to use, easy to write, easy to code, and why it is having human understandable syntax. So there are totally 12 features of Python, which makes it widely adapted and popular. And then we've learned about the installation of Python on our local systems and how to set it up. And then we've learned about the Python IDEs, which are like the workspaces where you will be working with Python. So you can write the code there and edit it and also run it. So some workspaces are PyCharm, Jupyter. So Jupyter Notebook is used mostly, so you can use it there. And also Spider and VS Code. So VS Code is for beginners. So it is easy to use as well. In Jupyter, there will be cell by cell executions. So this is widely used in ML projects and data visualization and data analysis as well. And then we got to learn about literals. So literals means it is a fixed data which we give to the programs. So without data, programs cannot run. And these literals are named with some names called as variables or identifiers. So these are the distinct names which we give to identify these literals. So these literals or the data is stored inside of objects. So inside of these objects our data will be stored. And variables or identifiers store the reference which will point to these objects. So these are like the distinct names we give to the objects consisting of this data. And then after learning about data and how we name it, we learned about the data types. So data types tell us what type of data we are storing in a variable. And it also tells us about how we can allocate the memory in our computer. So there are mainly 6 categories of data types. So there are fundamental category data types and sequence data types, list category data types, set category data types, dictionaries, and non-type category data types. So fundamental has 4 types: int, float, boolean, and complex. And sequence has 4 types, namely string, byte, byte array, and range. List has list and tuple, so 2. And sets have set and frozen set, so 2 subcategories. Dictionary has only 1 and non-type 2 only 1. So totally we'll be having 14 data types. And these are classified into 6 main categories. So we got to know about the data types and also how we can typecast them. So we also learned about the typecasting techniques. And also yesterday we've learned about the approaches to develop Python. So to develop a Python program, there are 2 approaches, namely interactive approach and batch mode approach. So we learned about the approaches and also we've learned about the print function syntaxes, which are 6, and input function syntaxes, which are 2. So after learning all of this, today we're gonna learn about operators in Python. So let's get into the topic. So today we're going to learn something very important in programming, which are operators. So what are operators? In simple words, operator is a symbol which is used to perform operations on data. So these operators are nothing but symbols which are used to perform some certain operations. And for example, if we have 5 plus 3 in mathematics, we'll do additions, right? So here the plus is called as operator. So this is a symbol which performs an operation. The operation is addition here. So this plus is an operator, and this 5 and 3 are called as operands. So operators connect two operands and perform certain operation. And if two or more variables or objects are connected with an operator, then it is called as an expression. So let's say we have a variable c that will be equals to a plus b. So if you see here, a and b are variables, right? Let's say a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20. So they have some values. So these are variables or objects. And when we connect these two variables or objects with an operator like plus or anything, so when we connect them with operators, then it is called as expression. So this here is the expression, and the result of this expression will be given to the variable which I'm equating it to. So the result of a plus b will be given to the variable c. And then, so similarly in Python, we use operators to perform different tasks like mathematical calculations. So using operators, you can perform certain tasks that are mathematical calculations, and you can use them to compare values, and also you can check the conditions if there are true or not. You can check the conditions using operators, and then we can work on data structures. And then you can also manipulate the binary bits. So binary bits are like zeros and ones. So the binary data consists of zeros and ones. You can also manipulate these binary bits in your memory using these operators. So these are the tasks you can perform using operators. So here we have 7 types of operators. So they are arithmetic operators, assignment operators, relational operators, logical operators, membership operators, identity operators, and bitwise operators. So we'll learn about all these types of operators. So in Python programming, it doesn't contain the incrementation and decrementation symbols. So if you see in C language, we have these, right? So these operators are not present, and also ternary operators are not present. And one more important point is Python can have shorthand operators. So we'll learn about all of these in detail one by one. So firstly, let us start with arithmetic operators. So arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical calculations, just like we do in maths, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and also floor division, modular division, exponentiation. So here, when two or more variables or objects are connected using arithmetic operators, it is called as arithmetic expression. So basically, when you connect two or more variables or objects using operators, that is called an expression, right? So when you connect them with especially arithmetic operators, then they are called as arithmetic expressions. So these are arithmetic expressions. So the main arithmetic operators are, as we know, firstly, the addition. So what addition does is it will add two variables. Let's say we have a equals to 10 and b equals to 3. So what addition does is a plus b, that is 10 plus 3. So 10 plus 3 will be 13. So the addition operator will perform the addition. And then we have subtraction. So minus or hyphen is used to perform subtraction. And when I try to do a minus b, so a plus b equals to 10 plus 3, which is 13. And a minus b equals to 10 minus 3, which is 7. So a minus b, when you perform, we'll be getting the result 7. In case of when a is 10 and b is 3. Next, moving on, we have the multiplication operator, which is asterisk. So this is used to perform the multiplication. And when we perform A asterisk B, so A is 10 and asterisk B is 3, right? So 10 into 3, or that will be 30. So that is how we can perform multiplication in Python. And then moving on, we have division operator. So division operator is a forward slash. So you can perform division using a forward slash. So when you perform a division operator, even if your operands like A and B are int values or float values, or only int or only float also, your result will always be a float value only. So division operator always gives us a float output. So here for this example, 10 by 3. So 10 by 3 is 3.3333 and so on. So we'll always get it in a float output. Even if your numbers are in integers, we will get the output in a float format. And then moving on, we have float division. So float division consists of two forward slashes. So when you want to do float division, you can do two forward slashes. So here A forward slashes. So this is floor division here. When you do this 10 by 3, so the output is 3. Here what it does is it will perform a normal division. So when you do 10 by 3, what's the value? It is 3.3333. So when you do the floor division, it will take the floor value. So floor means in this way we'll be doing. So floor value means it will remove the decimal part and it will only give you the whole number part. So when you do floor division, it will be giving us only the whole number part and it will remove the decimal part. It will not round off the value, it will remove the decimal part and it will give the whole number. So if you want like the ceiling value of this, it will be 4. So if you see here ceiling value, so for 3.33, your floor value will be 3 and the ceiling value will be 4. So that is the next integer. So that is how you can get. But here floor division means we'll get only the floor value by removing the decimal part. And then moving on, we have the modulo division. So this modulo operator is also the percentile or percentage operator, the symbol. And what it does is it will give us the remainder when you divide two numbers. So in this case, when you try to do 10 modulo 3, it will give the remainder which is 1. So when you perform the division, so I'm performing 10 by 3, let's say. So 3 3 is 9. So the remainder will be 1, right? So when you perform this modulo operator, it will directly give you the remainder after all the calculations. So in this way, we can get the remainder when we divide two numbers with each other. And then the exponentiation operator. So this operator is two asterisks. So this is used for getting the power of values. So when you try to do A exponentiation B, so that will give us A to the power of B. So here your A is your base value and B is the power. So A power B will be happening. So when you try to do 10 exponentiation 3, that will be 10 power 3. So 10 power 3 is 1000. So 3 times it will be multiplied, right? 10 power 3 is 1000. So that is how exponentiation operator or exponent operator will work. Now let us look at some code. So firstly, we're gonna do arithmetic operators. Let's just take different values because we already did these, right? So let's take 9 and 3. Okay, so print. So this is the addition operator using the plus symbol. So I'm performing print. You can also do just A plus B and you'll still get it, or you can just print the A plus B expression. So first we need to assign A equals to 9 and B equals to 3. And then you will be getting A plus B is 9 plus 3, which is 12. And then you'll get the subtraction A minus B. So here A minus B means 9 minus 3. So here 9 plus 3, which is 12. And subtraction is 9 minus 3, which is 6. And then you'll be doing the multiplication. So 9 asterisk 3, that will be 27. So you can perform the exponent multiplication in this way. And then we'll be doing division. So here A by B will be always a float value, right? As I've told, division operator will always give me a float value. So when I do 9 by 3, these both are integers only. Still, I'll get the value 3.0, which is float, because of this division operator. And then when I do the floor division, directly I'll be getting 3. Because the decimal part will be removed and only I'll be getting the whole number part, right? So I'll get 3 there. So as you can see, the floor division gives me only the whole number part and it will remove the decimal part, but it doesn't round off the decimal part. And then moving on, here we have a modulo operator. So modulo operator gives us the remainder. So here when we do 9 modulo 3, as 3 is directly like exactly divisible, exactly divides 9, so we'll get a remainder 0. So when we do this, 3 3s are 9, so 0 will be the remainder. So using the modulo, you can get the remainder when you divide two values. And then I have print A exponent operator B. So here what will happen is we'll be getting 9 exponent 3. So that is 9 to the power of 3. So 9 to the power of 3 is 729. So that is why we got this. So the first number or the first operand will represent the base value and the second operand will give the power. So that is how you can find the exponentiation of these two numbers. And then if you see here, I tried doing with the division operator. So division operator always gives a float value, right? Irrespective of you giving the numbers both in int or one in int, one in float or both in float also. Your output will always be a float value, irrespective of your operand's data type. When you do division, it will give you a float value output. So in float division, there's a different thing. So if you give both int values only, you will be getting the float value as int. But if you give any one of the operands, A or B, in float, you will be getting float. So if you see here, I gave A as a float, B as an int, right? So if I perform this, I'll be getting a float value. Here I have A as int and B as float value, that is 3.0. So when I perform this, I'll be getting float value. If I give both float values, I'll be getting float value only. But this float division will give me int value when both of them are int values. So if any one of them is float, you will be getting an output in a float. So that's how float division will work. And then moving on, we have a program to calculate square root of a number. So to get the exponentiation or power, we use exponent operator, right? So here what happens is n equals to float, as we know typecasting, and we learned about input function syntaxes, right? So first it will print this string and it will give us a space to give the input, and that input, if I give, let's say 2 will be, or let's say 4. So I gave input 4. So this 4, which is first a string, will be converted into float using this float typecasting. So this 4 will be converted into 4.0. And then the result, so res is the result variable here. So that is equals to n exponent operator 0.5, right? So what is in here? 4.0. So res, the result will be 4.0 into exponentiation 0.5. So how is this? 4.0 to the power of 0.5, right? So the first number is base and second number is the power. So that is why 4.0 whole power of 0.5. So 0.5 means, we know, right, 1 by 2. So 0.5 means 1 by 2. So 1 by 2, we can write the power into a square root. So the power of 1 by 2 is equals to square root of that number. So under root of 4.0. So that will give us 2.0, the value. So res equals to 2.0. So when here we used the format function to print my value. So my square root, the first curly braces will print the first variable here, that is n. So my square root of 4.0 will be equals to result, that is 2.0. So that's how this function will work. So let's demonstrate it. So let me run this. So here, this function, first it will give me enter any number, that is the string, and I'll be entering a number. So here I'm giving 4. So it's directly calculating that. So 4.0. So my square root of 4.0 is equals to 2.0, because we converted these numbers into float, right? So that is why we'll be getting the values into 4.0, 2.0. So if I give a value, let's say 9. So what will happen here? Your n value will be taken as 9.0, because we are converting it into float using the typecasting technique. So n equals to 9.0. Then res will be equals to 9.0 exponent operator 0.5. So that will be equal to 9.0 whole power of 0.5. So that will be equals to 9.0 whole power of 1 by 2. So this 1 by 2 can be written as square root. So square root of 9.0, that will be equals to 3.0. So that is how we got my square root of the n, that is 9.0 here. That will be equals to the result, which is 3.0 in the second curly braces. So there will be getting 3.0. So moving on, we can also give them separately the base and power values. So if you see here, first in this program, first enter base string will be given for us. So enter base string will be outputted. And then this enter, I'll be entering 2, let's say. Okay, 2. So here this 2, firstly it is as a string. This will be converted into 2.0 using this float typecasting technique. So the value A will be equals to 2.0 because we are assigning it into A, right? So that is why 2.0 will be assigned to A. And then this enter power will be output. Enter power. And then I'll be entering 3. So it will be taking a string 3 because input function will always take a string value only. And then this 3 string will be converted into float using the float typecasting technique because this is enclosed in float function, right? So the input string will be float value. So this will be converted into 3.0, and as it is assigned to m, so m value will be equals to 3.0. Now the result will be equals to res equals to a, which is 2.0 to the power of m is the power, right? So 3.0. So here 2.0 whole to the power of 3.0. So 2 power 3 is 8, right? So that is why we'll get a result 8, 8.0 because we are using all float values. So we'll get 8.0. So here in the print function, I'm using a float format function. So here the first curly braces will get the first variable value. So power of 2.0 comma the m value in the second. So 3.0. Power of 2.0 comma 3.0 will be res result, that is 8.0. So let's look at the code. So first it is telling me to enter the base. So base I want to enter is 2. And then power I want to enter is, let's say 4 this time. So 2 power 4. So here 2 power 0 whole to the power of 4.0. So that will be 16.0. So 2 power 4 is 16, right? So you'll be getting this value. And you can get any other values also. Using this, you can also find the square roots. So let's run this. And my base, I want to do 256, let's say. And power is 0.5. So I'll be getting 16. So here, enter base 256, right? So 256.0 will be taken. And the power will be taken as 0.5. So that is already in a float value. So 0.5. So the result will be equals to 256.0 whole to the power of 0.5. So 0.5 means the square root, right? So you can write it as 1 by 2 first and then square root of 256.0. So square root of 256 is 16 for us. So that is why your result will be 16.0. So the power of 256 and 0.5, which is 1 by 2, you can use this way to calculate the square root also, or you can get normal numbers also. So here I got 16 in that way. So moving on to the next topic. So the next topic is assignment operator. So the assignment operator is used to store. So this is used to store a value inside a variable. So when you want to store a value or a data or literal inside of your variable, you can use the assignment operator. So the assignment operator is equal to symbol. So what this does is it will transfer the value or the result of an expression from right hand side to left hand side variable. So to understand this, so when we have a left hand side value here and right hand side value. So what it does is this assignment operator, which is equal to, it will assign the right hand side value to the left hand side value. So here this left hand side value is a variable name, and that will be equals to right hand side value. That can be a value directly like 3, 10, or a float 1.5, anything. Or it can also be an expression. So when we do a plus b, or 10 plus 3, or 10 minus 3, so the result of this expression will be transferred to this variable or the object. So the result of this expression will be assigned or transferred to this variable name, or directly if there is a value, this value like 3 will be assigned to the variable name, whatever it is. So for example, when we have a equals to 10 or a equals to b plus c, so here we have a value and this we have an expression. So what happens is this 10 value will be assigned to a using this assignment operator, or else you can assign the result of b plus c to a. So here is an expression. So the right hand side value will be transferred to the left hand side value, which is a variable. So in Python, it supports two ways of assignment. So here we have two ways, that is single line assignment and multi-line assignment or multiple assignment. So in single line assignment, we assign one value or expression to one variable. So there will be only variable equals to a value or expression, only one at a time. So if you see, variable name equals to value or variable name equals to expression. So we can do variable equals to a equals to 30. So 30 will be given to a. So this is a single variable. So single value is assigned to single variable, right? So that is how here it is happening. And when you have c equals to a plus b, so the result of this expression will be assigned to the variable c. So this is single line assignment. In this only you will assign one value or expression to one variable. So there is multiple assignment or multi-line assignment. So in this, we will assign multiple values to multiple variables in a single statement. Rather than doing a equals to 10, b equals to 20, c equals to 30. So here we are using three lines, right? So this is single line assignment. So rather than this, we can assign all these values at once in a single line or single statement. So how is that? Is because we can give the variable names on the left hand side. So like one variable 1, variable 2 till variable n you can give, and that is equals to the assignment operator you will use here, and that will be equals to value 1, value 2 till value n. So here I want to assign a equals to 10, right? So 10 comma 20 comma 30. So here these values will be assigned to your variables respectively. So the first value will be assigned to the first variable. So a is assigned as 10, and the second value will be assigned to the second variable, which is b. So b is equals to 20. And then the third value will be assigned to the third variable, which is c. So at the end of this, if we execute this statement, what will happen is a equal to 10 will be assigned and b equal to 20 and c equals to 30 will be assigned using a single statement only. Rather than three single line statements, we can use a multiple state assignment and we can assign three values at once. So the rule here is your number of variables must be exactly the number of values. So if you have three values here, you should also have three variables on the left hand side. You cannot be giving like a comma b equals to 10 comma 20 comma 30. So here there are only two variables, but you are assigning here three variables, right? Sorry, three values, right? So that cannot happen. Your number of variables and number of values should match. So here we have three variables and three values. So the values will be assigned respectively and neatly. So that is the rule in case of assignment operator. Now let us look at the coding part of this. So here we have a assignment operators. So single line assignment. So a equals to 10. Here you are doing the variable name. So the variable equals to a value. So I'm assigning A equal to 10 and B equal to 20. So 10 will be assigned to A, 20 will be assigned to B. So if we run this, A equals to 10. So if I want to print A right now, I can just use A or print A. So if I print A, as you can see, A value is 10. So that is assigned. And then moving on, I'm assigning B equals to 20. So if I print B right now, so that would be, the result will get 20 in the output. So 20 is assigned to B. And then we have C equals to A plus B. So what is happening here is we are using the syntax, that is variable name equal to expression. So the result of this expression will be assigned to C. So A is 10, right? And B is 20. So the result of this will be 30. So this 30 will be assigned to your C value. So it will be assigned to your C value. So here we have assigned C, and now I want to print C individually. I can print it. So here print C is 30 because 10 plus 20 is 30. We can print it that way. We can also print three of them at once. So print of A comma B comma C. You can separate them. So separate the variable names using commas and you can print it. So here they will be separated with equal spaces. So 10, 20, 30. A is 10, B is 20 and C will be A plus B, that is 10 plus 20, 30. And then we can have multi-line assignment. So in this we can assign number of values or number of expressions to the variables on left hand side at once. So these here what happens is, as we just learned, 10 will be assigned to A, 20 will be assigned to B, and 30 will be assigned to C. Directly in a single statement, all these three assignments will happen. So the number of variables should be equal to number of values on the right hand side. So if you see here, let me run this. So A is equals to 10, B equals to 20, C equals to 30. So in the same way, here, we can also give the expressions on the right hand side. Instead of values, we can give expressions in multi-line assignment. And on the left hand side, we'll give the same number of variables to assign them. So here I have A comma B equals to 10 comma 3. So 10 will be assigned to A, 3 will be assigned to B. So here this will be assigned. So now what are our values? A equals to 10 and B equals to 3. And we have a second statement with the multiple assignment. So here what happens is A plus B, which is the first expression. So this result will be assigned to R1. So R1 here is A plus B. And then the second expression, which is A minus B, will be assigned to R2. So R2 will be equals to A minus B. And then the third expression, A into B or A asterisk, will be assigned to the third variable R3. So R3 equals to A asterisk B. And then A exponent. So exponent means it's a power, right? So this value will be assigned to the fourth. So this is the fourth expression, fourth variable. So it will be assigned respectively to all the values. So R4 will be A asterisk asterisk B. So now A plus B is 10 plus 3. So that is 13. So R1 will be 13. And R2 will be 10 minus 3, which is 7. And then R3 will be A into B, that is 10 asterisk 3, that is 30. 10 into 3 is 30. And then R4 will be A asterisk asterisk B, that is 10 to the power of 3, that is 10 power 3 will be 1000. So now when I print, I'll be getting 13, which is R1, and then R2 is 7, R3 is 30, and R4 is 1000. Okay. So here, first a comma b equals 10 comma 3, and then we'll print ab. So that is 10 comma 3. And now we are using this multi-line assignment to also give expressions to our variables at a time. So here, as you can see, a plus b is 13, a minus b is 7, and then a asterisk b is 30, which is 10 into 3, and a power b, here 10 power 3 will be 1000. So in this way, you can also perform the multi-line assignments to your operations. And then moving on, we'll be learning about relational operators now. So the relational operators, so these operators are used to compare values. So when you want to compare two values or objects, you can use relational operator. So when there are two or more variables connected using relational operators, like two variables, let's say a, b, when you convert these two variables or objects with relational operators, it forms a relational expression. So these relational expressions are also called as conditions. So some type of relational operators are greater than, less than, equals to, and not equals to, greater than or equals to, less than or equals to. So when I perform this, so a greater than b, so this will be a relational expression. Or this is also called as a condition. So we are checking a condition here, right? So a is greater than b or not. So that's called as a condition. So the result of relational expression, so this expression will always be, the output will always be a Boolean value. So Boolean means what? True or false value. So the result of a relational expression will always be a Boolean value which is true or false. And these relational expressions and operators are mainly used in if conditions and while conditions or while loops, for loops, and decision making statements, like in if. So if a greater than or b, then we will print something. So a is the greater number, a is largest. So we'll print that way, right? So in if conditions, we'll be using this way. So these conditions are used in if conditions, while loops, for loops, and decision making statements. So here we have an expressions. So example, a equals to 10, b equals to 20, and c equals to 10 again. So first, the first operator is greater than operator. And here we are performing a greater than b. So a is 10 and 10 greater than b, which is 20. So is 10 greater than 20? It is not. So we will get the result false. And here we have b greater than c. So b is 20 greater than 10. So 10 here. So 20 greater than 10. So that is true, right? 20 is greater than 10. So that is why we'll get the result true. Moving on, we have the second operator, that is less than. So to get the less than, we'll use this. And a less than b means 10 less than 20. So 10 less than 20. So that is true, right? So 10 is a smaller number than 20. So that's why the output will be true. And then moving on, b less than c. So b here is 20 less than c, that is 10. So 20 less than 10, that is false, right? So 20 is not less than 10. So that is why we'll get output false. So if you see, we are getting all Boolean values in the result. We can also compare two values using the equal to operator. So to check if two numbers are equal numbers or not. So this operator will check the value equality. So here a equals to b. So 10 equals to 20. So that 10 is not equals to 20, right? So that is why this is false. So we'll be getting a result false. So when you compare a and c, so a is 10, c is 10. So here 10 equals to c, which is 10. So 10 is equal to 10, obviously, right? So equal values. So the output will be true. And then we have the opposite of equal to, which is not equal to. You should be using this with a asterisk, sorry, exclamation equals to. So this will be not equals to. If you want to compare equal values, so you should be using both equals, and not equal to, you should use an exclamation mark and equals to. So here we have A not equals to B. So 10 not equals to 20. So obviously 10 is not equal to 20, right? They are different values. So that will be true. A is not equal to 20 will be true. And then we have A not equals to C. So 10 not equals to 10. But 10 is equals to 10, right? The values are same. So as this not equal to will be a false statement. So that is not true. So this is false. And then we have greater than or equal to. So it will check the left number, let's say A. This A is greater than or equal to B or not. So here when we are comparing A greater than equal to B, if A is greater than or if it is equal also, we'll get a true. If it is less than, we'll not get true. So we'll get a false value. So here A is 10, right? So 10 greater than equals to 20. So is 10 greater than 20? No. Is 10 equal to 20? No. So we'll get false. And then we have A greater than equal to C. So 10 greater than equals to C. That is 10 again. So in this case, it will check A 10 greater than 10. But no, 10 is not greater than 10. 10 equals to 10. That is true. 10 is equal to 10, right? So it will check both the conditions at once, greater than and equal to. So that is why 10 equals to 10 is true. So that main output or result will be true. And then we have less than or equals to. So it will check if A is less than B and A is less equal to B. So both conditions it will check here. So A, which is 10, right? So 10 less than equals to 20. So 10 less than 20. So that is true, right? 10 is smaller number than 20. And 10 equals to 20. 10 is not equal to 20. Even if one condition like less than or equal to will be true, then we'll get the output true. So as 10 is less than 20, so that is true, we'll get the output true. And then we have B less than equal to C. So 20 less than equals to C, which is 10. Is 20 less than 10? No. Is 20 equal to 10? No. So as both of them are false, the main output also will be false. So even if one condition in this greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, if it is true, the output will be true. So moving on to the coding part now. So let's take a different values. So A equals to 12, B equals to 13, let's say, and C equals to 14. So here A equals to 12 is given. So that value will be assigned to the variable. Now print A greater than B. So A greater than B means 12 greater than 13. So 12 greater than 13 is false, right? So 12 is a less number than 13. So that is why this will be a false value. And then we have B is greater than C. So B means 13 and 13 greater than 14. So this is also false. So 13 greater than 14 is false. And then we have A less than B. So A is 12, B is 13. So 12 less than 13. So as 12 is a smaller number than 13, this is true. So the output will be true. And then we have B less than C. So B is 13, C is 14, right? So 13 less than 14. So as this is smaller number than 14, that will be true. So let's run this first. So A greater than B, which is 12 greater than 13, will be false. And B greater than C, that is 13 greater than 14, will be false as well. And if we check A less than B, that will be true because 12 is less than 13. And then B less than C, that is 13 less than 14, will also be true. Now moving on to the next numbers, A equals to B. So here we have A equals to B. We are checking the equal to operator. A is 12 equals to 13. So 12 and 13 are different values, right? So they are not equal. So that is why 12 equals to 13 will give me false. And A equals to C. 12 equal to 14. So these values are also not equal. So 12 is not equal to 14, right? So we'll be getting a false value. So if I run this, A is equal to B, that is 12 equal to 13 will be false, and 12 is equal to 14 will also be false, if you see here. And then moving on, we are getting the not equal to values. So here we have A equals to 12, B equals to 13, and C equals to 14. So now we are finding not equal to. So A, that is 12, not equal to 13. So obviously 12 is not equal to 13, right? So that is why we'll get an output true. And A is not equal to C, that is 12 not equal to 14. So these values are different, right? So 12 is not equal to 14. So that is why they'll get a true value. Now A greater than equals to B. So that is 12 greater than equals to 13. So 12 greater than 13? No. Is 12 equal to 13? No. So that is why we'll get false because even one condition also it didn't satisfy. So that is why we'll get a false. If I check A greater than equals to C, that is 12, A is 12 greater than equals to C, that is 14. Is 12 greater than 14? No. Is 12 equal to 14? No. So that is why I'll get a false value. Now if I check A less than equal to B, 12 less than equals to B. So that is 13. So is 12 less than 13? Yes. Is 12 equal to 13? No. Even one condition is true, right? So that is why we'll get a true. And next 12 less than equal to 14. For B less than equal to C. So 12 means, so 13 here. So B less than equal to, just a second. So here B less than equal to C, that is 13 less than equal to 14. So here is 13 less than equal to 14? Yes. Is 13 equal to 14? No. As the values, at least one value is true, no? So that is why we'll get a true value. So now let's just run these. So A is not equal to B, 12 not equal to 13, that will be a true value. And then A is not equal to C. So 12 is not equal to 14. So that will be a true value as well. And we have A greater than equals to B. So 12 greater than equals to 13. So that is a false value. And 12 greater than equals to 14, that is also a false value because no condition has been satisfied. And then we have A less than equal to B. That is 12 less than equal to 13. That is true. And then we have B less than equal to C. So 13 less than equal to 14. That is also true. So we got a true value. So in this way, we can use the relational operators. So these relational operators are also called as conditions and they will always produce us a Boolean output. And then moving on, we have logical operators. So these logical operators are used to combine two or more relational expressions. So logical operators combine two or more relational expressions and they are mainly used when we need to check multiple conditions together. So as you know, relational operators are also called as relational expressions are also called as conditions, right? So when you want to check multiple conditions together, you will be using a logical operator. So for example, when I want to check A greater than B, and so I want to check this relational expression as well as B A greater than C. So I want to check if A is greater than B and A is greater than C. So this is a one relational expression. So this is a one condition, and this is one more relational expression which is a second condition. And logical operators are the ones used to combine two or more relational expressions. So this here and here it is a logical operator. So logical operators are used when we want to check multiple conditions, like this is a one condition, this is second condition. So this is how we can use logical operators. And logical operators, so when relational expressions are joined using logical operators, that will be called as a logical expression. So when you use the logical operators to combine both relational expressions, that will be a logical expression. And relational expressions are also called as conditions. So when you combine two or more conditions with the logical operator, so there are many conditions, right? So that's why it's called compound condition as well. So logical expression or compound condition are same terms. The result of this logical expression will always be a Boolean value because you are working with relational operators, right? So these values are Boolean values. So when you're using a number of relational expressions, so the whole result will also be a Boolean value which is true or false. So here, for example, we are checking age greater than 18. So this is one relational expression or a condition, and marks greater than equals to 60. So this is one more relational expression or a condition. So as it has relational operators, so these are relational expressions. As we are connecting two relational expressions with some logical operator, this is called a logical expression or a compound condition. So if here, first let's know about the types of logical operators. So we have three types mainly. So the first type is or it is called logical or. And then second is logical and then third one is not, logical not. And these three are the logical operators. So how or is used is, or the logical or. So there is some truth table for or. So what is that means? We use or in between two expressions, right? So expression 1 or expression 2. So in this way, this is a logical expression, right? So when this is happens, so if expression 1 is true and expression 2 is false, we will get a result true. So how or mainly works means it will return true if at least one condition is true. So if at least this one expression or expression 1 or expression 2 or both expressions are true, then you will get a true value. So if at least one condition or expression here is true, then your output will be true. Otherwise, it will be false. Otherwise means both are false. So if both expressions are false, we will be getting a false value. So that is why here we have, here if you see expression 1 is true. So at least one is true, right? So that is why our result will be true. And if you check the second one, at least the second one, so 1 is true. So expression true is true. That is why we'll get a result true. And when you come to the third case, that is both are false. So at least one is true means we'll get the output is true, right? So here we have both false. So that is why the main output result will also be a false value. And here if you see both are true, even if at least one is true, we'll get a true. Here both are true. So then we'll get directly both, as both are true, we'll get the output as true. Then we have the second logical operator, which is AND. So that is a logical AND. So this logical AND, what it does is, the result will be true only if both conditions are true. So when you use AND, both conditions should be true. Then only you will get the main result as true. So here what it means is expression 1 and expression true 2. So if both are true only, your AND operator will give you a true value. So both should be true. So this expression 1 is true and expression 2 is true, then we'll get a main output true. If at least one of them are false, so if expression 1 is false, we'll get a false value. Expression 2 is false, at least we'll get a false. If both are false, we'll get obviously a false value. So in AND condition, both of the expressions should be true. So if you see here, we have true and false. So expression 1 is true, expression 2 is false. So the result will be false. Expression 1 is false, expression 2 is true. So the result will be false only. And here we have expression 1 is false. So both are false. So output will be false. And then here if you see both are true. So then only we'll get true. So to easily remember this, basically OR means either expression 1 or expression 2. If they are true, you will get a true output. So OR means either one should be true. AND means both should be true. Then only you will get a true value. If you consider this true or false in a zeros and ones, let's say. So first let me draw OR operator. So here we have an expression 1 and expression 2 and my output. So this is my first input, input 2 and output. So if I have both zeros, so basically when you're writing a truth table, you should write 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So 1 means true value, 0 means false value. So this is an easy way to remember. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So this can be used in gates and XOR operations also. So that is why I'm writing in a 0 ones. So 0 means false. So both are false. So in OR, at least one should be true, right? So your output inputs both are false. So you'll get a false output. So here 0, 1. So at least one we have a true value, right? So we'll get true. Here 1, 0. So at least one expression is true or 1. So we'll get a true output. So here both are true. So 1 means true, right? So both are true, we'll get true. So if you see here, except for 0, 0, other all are ones. So 0, 1, 1, 1 will be the outputs when you have 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So in the same way, we can write for AND also. So for AND, the output expression 1, expression 2. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So in AND, both should be true. Then only we'll get a true value in the output. So here if you see zeros, zeros means false, right? Both are false. So that will be false value. Here both should be true. So both true means 1, 1. 1 means true, right? So both are true only will get true. Other all will get false only. As here there are zeros, that will be zeros here. So if both are true only, then we'll have a 1 value. So to easily remember, you can just consider your OR values like additions, So when you do this, let's see a OR value 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, right? So, or you can consider just like a addition. So 0 plus 0 will be 0. So just to remember this, you don't follow this, but just to remember. So 0, 1, it will give 1, 1 plus 0 will give 1, and 1, 1 will give you 2, but here 1. So this way you can remember them, and you can consider as like a multiplication basically to remember it. So 0, 0, 0 into 0 will be giving 0, 0 into 1, 0, 1 into 0 is 0, and 1 into 1 is 1. So in this way you can just remember or and, or the expressions are at least one should be true, then the output will be true in the or. And in and, both should be true, then you will get a true value in the output. And when you come to not operator, what it does is it will simply reverse the result. So if your expression is true, it will give a false result. And if your expression is false, it will give a true result. So that is a logical not. Now let us look at the coding part of logical operators. Firstly, we have OR operator, and the functionality of OR operator is shown in this truth table. So even if at least one value is true, we will get the output true. Here, as we have both values are false, we will get the false value only. So here, if you check the logical operators, so firstly we have 10 greater than 20. So is 10 greater than 20? 10 is not greater than 20. So we'll get a false value for this relational expression. And then or we have, and the second relational expression 20 greater than 30. So here 20 greater than 30 is also false because 20 is less than 30, right? So that is also false. So as both are false, we will keep getting a value false. And then for the second print, we have 10 greater than 20. So 10 greater than 20, so 10 is less than 20, that is why this will be a false value. And 20 less than 30. So 20 is obviously less than 30, right? So this is a smaller number than this. So this is true. So as we have or, false or true. So at least one should be true. Then we'll get a true value using the or operator. And if you see here, minus 10 less than 10. So minus 10 is a negative number. Negative numbers are less than positive numbers, right? So here we'll be getting a true value. Or 100 greater than 200. So 100 is less than 200, right? So that is why 100 greater than 200 will be false. So at least one should be true. So true or false. So in the or operator, at least one should be true. Then we'll get a true value. So as we have one true here, we got a true value. So let's run this code first. So print 10 greater than 20 or 20 greater than 30, as both of the expressions are false, we get a false output. And then moving on, here we have 10 greater than 20 or 20 less than 30. So as both, so one expression is false and another expression is true. So as at least one of the expressions are true in the OR operator, the output will be true. And in the third expressions, that is the logical expression. So here we have minus 10 less than 10, which is true, and 100 greater than 200, which is false. So at least one expression or condition is true. So that is why we'll get true for the OR operator. So in this case, if you see, in this, they will get the results. So moving on to the AND operator. So one thing what you should remember is there is something called as shortcut evaluation or shortcut. So Python, what it does is, firstly it will check one condition, okay? So if that condition, in case of OR, so if you see here, this condition, minus 10 less than 10 is true, right? So in OR, if at least one expression is true, we will get true only. So in this condition, what it will do is, as the first expression is already true, it will give directly true. It will not check the second condition. So Python sometimes stops evaluating conditions early. So it stops evaluating conditions early. So Python will stop checking the remaining conditions in this case. So this is called shortcut evaluation, short circuit evaluation. Sorry, short circuit evaluation. So as in case of OR, if at least one expression is true, we'll get true, right? So that is why as we got the expression true already, even if you have n number of expressions in the remaining, those expressions will be ignored or it will stop checking them and directly it will give you true. So in this condition. Then moving on to the next condition. So here we have a comma b equals to 10 comma 20. So a is 10 and b is 20, right? So this is a multiple assignment or multi-line assignment. So here we are checking a less than b. So a less than b means 10 less than 20 or a less than 100. That is a means 10, right? So 10 less than 100. So if you see here 10 less than 20. So this is already true. So it will not check the remaining condition and it will directly give you true. Because in OR, if at least one condition is true, we will get true, right? So that is why when I run this, so it will directly give me true because already the first expression is true. So directly it will give me true. It will stop checking the remaining expressions. So moving on, we have, so the next expression is a less than b. So 10 less than 20 again or a hun, hun, 10 greater than 100 or b, that is 20 greater than 100. So if you see, these are false and false, but if you check 10 less than 20, so that is already true, right? So as the first expression in this OR operations, so both are OR, right? So that is why as the first expression is already true, directly it will give you true. It will not check the other ones, so it will stop checking the remaining conditions in this case. So if you see here, a less than b or a greater than 100 or b greater than 100 will get a true value. So now we have a greater than b. So a greater than b means 10 greater than 20 or a, that is 10 greater than 100 or b is 20 greater than 100. So first it will check the first expression. So 10 greater than 20. So 10 is less than 20, right? So this is false. So 10 is not greater than 20. So this is false. Then it will go check the next expression. So 10 greater than 100. So this is also false. Then it will go to the next expression, 20 greater than 100. So that is also false. So as all are false, we'll be getting a result false. So if you see for this expression, we'll get all falses. So that is why the main result also will get a false value. Then moving on to the next one, a greater than b, that is 10 greater than 20 or a greater than b is 10 greater than 100 or b less than 100, 20 less than 100. So here 10 greater than 20, that is false, and 10 greater than 100 is also false, but here 20 less than 100, so 20 less than 100. So 20 less than 100 is true, right? So obviously 20 value is lesser or smaller than 100. So that is why as we have at least one true value, we will get the main output as true only. So at least one expression is true. So that is why we are getting the output as true. And then moving on, we have AND operator. So in AND operator, all the expressions should be true, then only we will get the output as a true value. So here we have two expressions. So 10 greater than 5. So 10 greater than 5 is true, right? So this is true. And then 20 greater than 6. So 20 greater than 6, it is also true. Then we have, as we have both of the operations, we have true for the AND. So that is why your output will be true. And then we have 10 less than 5. So 10 less than 5 is false. And 20 greater than 6. So 20 greater than 6 is obviously true. So this expression is true, this is false. As both of them will be true, then only we'll get true, right? In AND. But we have a false expression and true expression. So the output will be a false value only. So let me run this code first. So first value. So 10 greater than 5 and 20 greater than 6. Both are true, so I got true in the output. Here 10 less than 5 is false and 20 greater than 6 is true. So that is why, as only one of the expressions are true and not both of the expressions are true, so we'll get a false value because we have false and true expressions, right? So we'll get a false output. So moving on to this, so we have 10 greater than 2. So 10 greater than 2 is a true value. And 20 greater than 6 is also true. So first it will check. Let me complete this. So 20 not equals to 10. So this is also a true value. And 20 equals to 20, that is also a true value. So if you see here first, when you have here, if you see there are combinations of and or operators. So that is why first you should check this too. So true and true will give me a true value. And then remaining values are or, true, or true, right? So this whole thing 10 greater than 2 and 20 greater than 6 will give me true. As both of the expressions are true, I'll get it true. So remaining are or true or true. So that's what I wrote here, or true or true. So first you should check this true or true. So at least in this expression, or if you consider 3 also at a time, so at least one should be true. But if you see here all are true, so obviously in the true, you will be getting true because we have a or operator here. So or operator, if at least one is true, we'll get a output true. But here if you see all are true, so the 3 are true. So you'll get a output true. So that is why we got a true output here. And then moving on, we have 10 less than 2. So 10 less than 2 is false value. And 20 greater than 6 is true because 20 is bigger number than 6, right? So it's 20 is greater than 6. Then we have 20 not equals to 10. So 20 not equals to 10 is also true because the both values are different. Then 20 equals to 20. So comparing the values. So 20 is equal to 20, right? So both are same numbers. So that will be a true value. So if you see here, let's check one by one. So here we'll be getting, first consider this both. So false and true. So in the AND operation, if you have both true, then only you'll get true. Otherwise, you'll get false only, right? So I have false and true. So my output will be false here. Then if I write or true, like the remaining expressions, directly I am writing it in a form of true or false. Now, next pair I'll check. So false or true. So in OR operator, if at least one is true, you will get the output true. So false or true means I have one true. So my output will be true. And the remaining OR, so that is this thing. So true or true. So basically here you will be doing a pair operation. So then you will be understanding it the easy way. So that is why I'm doing them as a pair. So first I've checked this condition and this condition, and that output I checked with or the third condition, and then this output, whole output, I am checking with the last condition, that is or 20 equals to 20, that is this. So till now I got true, and or 20 equals to 20 is also true. So true or true, at least one is true, then we'll get true. Here both are true, so as at least one is true is satisfied, so we'll get a true output. So when we'll run this code, I'll get a true value. So the one tip I give is do it as a pair and pair, then consider the next expressions as well. Then you will have a better idea of what you're doing. So next we have 10 less than 2. So 10 less than 2 is false. Then 20 greater than 6 is true. And then we have 20 equal to 10. So 20 is not equal to 10. So this is a false. And 20 equals 20 is true. So let me just write the whole thing at once. So false or true and false and true. So I've just concised them into true or false conditions. So 10 less than 2 is false, so I wrote false, or 20 greater than 6 is true. So that, and I've I've considered the and 20 equals to 10 is false, so that false, and 20 equals to 20 is true, so and true. So now I want to do it one by one. So false or true. So or at least one is true, you'll get a true, right? So you'll get a true from this. And the remaining expression is and false and true. You can consider this as a whole also, but I want you guys to do one by one. So true and false. So in AND operator, if both of them are true only, you'll get true. Otherwise, you'll get false, right? So both of them here are not true. So you'll be getting a false output from this. True and false will give me a false. And the remaining part is and true. So again, and has false and true. So if both are true only, we'll get true, otherwise false. So that is why false and true will give me a false output at the end. So if I do this expression, this logical expression, I'll be getting a false output. So in this way, we can calculate the logical expression one by one. So for this also, we have a short circuit evaluation in AND operator. So as you know, AND operator will give me true only if both the expressions are true, right? So if I have the first expression like here 10 less than 2, sorry, 10 great less than 5 will take. So this is short expression, we'll take this 10 less than 5. So 10 less than 5 is false, right? 20 greater than 6 is true. But even though it will not check the second expression, as you used an AND operator, so it will check the first condition. If the first condition is false, directly it will give me the output as false only. It will not check the next conditions. Because in AND operation, if both are true only, you will get true. So if at least one is false, you will get the output false. So that is why if the first expression itself is false, then the rest of the evaluation expressions or the rest of relational expressions won't be evaluated, and the total result of your logical expression, this whole expression, will be given as false only. So that is the short circuit evaluation in case of AND operator. And moving on, we have not operator. So this operator will just obtain the opposite result of existing result of the relational expressions or logical expressions. So if there is a true value, you will get a false value. If there is a false value, you will be getting a true value. So how you can use this is, you can use the not not. So here I have 100, a equal to 100. So 100 value will be assigned to A and 200 value will be assigned to B. So here I'm checking A greater than B. A greater than B means 100 greater than 200, right? 100 greater than 200. Is 100 greater than 200? No, it is false. 100 is less than 200. So 100 greater than 200 will be considered as a false value. So if we run this, so we'll get A greater than B as false. So here we are using a not. So if you can see here, not of the parenthesis A greater than B. So A greater than B is false, right? So not of false will be true. So the reverse value just not of false will be a true. So as you can see, not of A greater than B, that is false, will give me the result true at the end. And then here we have A less than B. A less than B means 100 less than 200. So 100 is less than 200. So that is true, right? But we have not of. So not of true value. So not of true means the opposite value, that is false. So let's just run this. So A greater than B, that is 100 greater than 200, is false. So not of A greater than B, that is not of false, will be true, the opposite value. So here we have not of A less than B. So A less than B means 100 less than 200. So 100 less than 200 is true. So not of true will be false value. Here if you see, we get a false value. And then moving on, we have 10 greater than 5. So 10 greater than 5, that is a true value. And 10 equal to 10. So that is also true. So as both of the expressions are true and we have an AND operator, we'll get the true. But if you see, we have a not of this. So not of the whole expression is true, right? So not of true will be false. And here we have 10 not equal to 5. So that is true. Or 10 not equal to 10. That is false. So at least as we have here OR operator. So as we have OR operator here, at least one of them will be true. Then the whole expression will be true, right? So this whole expression will be true as at least one of them are true. But we are using not. So not of true will be a false value. So let's just run this. So we got a true and not of this true will get a false value in the second. And this case 10 not equal to 5 is true, 10 not equal to 10 is false. So at least we used a OR operator here. This is the main point. We used a OR operator. So at least one of them is true, then we'll get a true. But the not of true will give you a false value at the end. As we used a not operator, we'll get the false. So there are also some expressions or the logical operators can be used without relational operators also. So this is the last topic, so please be patient. And the logical operators can be used without relational operators. So in this case, here we have AND operator. You can use this AND operator without having relational operations also. So if you have, when you are using AND operation, so if your X value, so here 100 is considered as X and Y, 200 is the Y value. So if you have X and Y, when you're performing X and Y, so if your X value is false, so false means here the zero values and empty strings are considered as false value when there are no relational operations. So when you're taking just numbers, all your non-zero numbers are true values and all your zero numbers or empty strings are false values. So if your X is a false value, the output will be X only. Otherwise, it will return y. So if x is false, in case of AND operator, if x and y, if you're using x and y, if x is false, you will be returning x value only. Otherwise, you will be returning y. So in case of AND operator, if your x value, that is the first value, if it is false value, you will be returning x only. Otherwise, you will be returning the second value, which is y. So if you see here, x and y, that is 100 and 200. So if you print this using the AND operator, here x value is 100, right? So non-zero values are all true values. So as x equal to false equal to, that is not satisfied, right? X is not equal to false. So as x not equal to false, the otherwise condition will be true. So y will be printed. So 200 will be printed here. When you perform x and 200, as the x value is not false, it will print the second element. If you see here, minus 101 is also a non-zero number only. So all non-zero numbers are considered true. So x is not false here. So it is true value. So it will print the second element, that is 300. So now here we have 0 and 234. So as x is false, so the 0 numbers are only false values, right? So as x is false, it will print the x value. That is here, when you do 0 and 234, it will print the x, that is 0 only. Here if you see, when your x is false, it will print x only. Otherwise, it will print the second element, which is y. Here we have 102 and 0. So 100 is true value. It is not false. So that is why it will print the second value, which is 0 here. Just remember, if x value is false, it will print x. Otherwise, it will print the y, which is the second element. So here x is not false. So that is why it is printing the second element. If you see here, both of these strings are non-empty strings. So non-empty strings are true only, right? So just focus on your x. So x false means it will print x, that is NEUT. But here x is not false. So it is a true value. So it will print the second element, that is Python. And moving on, we have 0 and Python. So check the x condition. X is 0. 0 means false here. So that is why it will print 0 only. It will print x only, which is 0 here. So that is why 0 is printed. And moving on, for OR operator also we have this. So in condition of OR, when you use x or y, so if x is false, it returns the y, that is the second element. So in case of OR, when you have x equal to false, it will return me the y value. Otherwise, it will return x only. So in this condition, you should check the x itself. So if x is false, it will return y, that is the second element. Otherwise, it will return x only. So if you see here, we'll move to the examples. So here we have x, that is 100, and y is 200. So here 100 is a non-zero number, right? So that is why it is true. If x is false, you will print y. Otherwise x, right? So here x is true, that is why you will be printing 100 only. So here, if x is false, you will print the second element. So if first element is false, you will print the second element. Otherwise, so x is false is not satisfied. So that is x is true, then you will print x itself. So here, when you are using this or 100 or 200, so 100 is not false, right? So it is not a zero condition or zero value. So this is true. So you'll print 100 only. When you're using OR operator, you'll print 100. So here, if x is false, you'll print the y value, that is second element, right? So x is false means you will print y. So here x is 0, that is false. So it will print 200 in this case. And here you have 0 or 0. You just need to focus on the x value, that is the first value. So x here is 0. 0 means false. So x is false means you will print the second element, that is y. Here y is 0. So it will print 0 only. This 0 is printed here. Don't confuse. This 0 is printed because x is false. So x equal to 0 is false. So y is printed. So y here is 0. So that is printed. And then moving on, we have 100 or NUT. So x value is 100 here. 100 is a true value. It is not false. So that is why x only will be printed here. So that is why 100 is printed. So just note down these conditions and once practice in your local environment, so you'll get a better understanding of what I've explained you. So in case of AND operator, when you're comparing x and y, if x is false, so that is the first element or the first expression is false, it will return x. Otherwise, it will written y. In case of OR operator, when you are using x or y, if x is false, that is the first element is false. False means it is a 0 or empty strings. So if x is false, it will return y, that is the second element. Otherwise, it will print an x only. So just note down these and try it in your local environment. So you will get a better examples and understanding of it. So today we have learned about the operators, that is arithmetic operators and assignment operators and relational operators and logical operators. So we have learned the first four operators today. Tomorrow we will be learning membership operators, that is in, not in, identity operators, is not, and bitwise operators. So for today we have learned the four operators, that is arithmetic, assignment, relational and logical. So tomorrow we'll be learning about membership operators, identity operators and bitwise operators. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box and we'll be answering that. And if you want to revisit the videos, you can go to the Python for AI 2026 playlist in our channel and you can check the lives from day 1 to day 9 and you can revise them as well. If there are any people, if you not heard them, you can listen to those videos. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. And yeah, please wait for the feedback form. It will be shared soon. Thank you for listening.